Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
The vision of the Leadership Summit is to equip our base with a worldview so that we understand why do we believe what we believe to be true, and then also give practical ways of application. Today, I believe we have credentialed over 80 media personnel. Yesterday, we were greatly inspired. We held our first annual Youth Leadership Academy with the same vision of equipping and training youth and casting the vision of how to apply that on college campuses or in the world of work. And at our first Youth Leadership Academy, we had over 250 kids attend. Well over 200 pastors will be in attendance here today as well. We take the three institutions that God instituted very seriously: the church, the family, and government. And where those three intersect, that's where we want to have our impact. That's where we want to make our difference. And for churches, for pastors, for church leaders are here, we tell the church, we don't need you to be political. We don't need you to be Republican or Democrat. But we do need you to be biblical, and we do need you to be culturally relevant.
You know where I stand? I spoke about it last time on abortion, traditional family, homeschooling, parental rights, Common Core, and a lot of other things. Today, I want to speak about the Constitution. If we defend the Constitution, those other things will take care of themselves.
As Christians, we're slapping our heads and we're saying, how is this happening? Creating the change that we all have gathered here to talk about and strategize about and all that. What will have the greatest impact on that is you.
You know, isn't it true we get so inspired when we see somebody out of Hollywood taking a stand for the faith that we believe in, because you know it takes boldness and it takes courage. And so we thank Stephen Baldwin for being a leader.
So why should any of us shrink from our appointed task to reconstruct this country on our Christian foundation? Why would we think we should apologize to the rest of the world for American success? We should take it to the rest of the world.
We're losing this debate not because of politics, though. Politicians didn't change the culture. The popular culture changed America. You know, there's twice as many conservatives as liberals, and that poll number has been pretty much the same for the last 40 or 50 years. Yet, this country continues to go in their direction. Why? Because they work harder at it, and they understand what moves the country. Aristotle said, "Give me the storytellers, and I will control the nation in a generation." Who tells the stories to your children and to you in America? People like you?
And with Reagan, they said he was the great communicator, but Reagan said, it's not that I'm the great communicator, I just communicate great things. It's time that you and I start communicating great things and telling that story to the culture the way Rick just said.
That when we defy him, we will suffer consequences. In Judges chapter 2, we're met with a similar situation. The children of Israel have been given the promised land. They've been given a land flowing with milk and with honey. They began to chase the lies of the world, the idols. And so God raised up enemies from all around them. Verse 15 says they ended up in great distress. Are we there?
We want pastors to not only be engaged, but to take the message of Dale Tackett back to their congregations.
So we've been working hard at the Family Leader to try to reach out and build bridges with other groups and like-minded people, across this state and even around the country. We feel like our job is to represent you, and to represent these biblical values and just raise this standard. So my heart does break, even for our political opponents, that because they need to see the light and they need to see Jesus and they have their eyes open.
It is an honor and a privilege to serve the people. I'm very humble. I want to say thank you for all the people that say they're praying for us. We need your prayers.
And when rights are given to you by God, there is no man, no judge, no legislature, and no president that has the right to take them away from you. The marriage debate is not simply about marriage. Marriage is a religious liberty issue. Marriage is an economic issue. Marriage is an education issue. Marriage is a criminal justice issue. Marriage is a healthcare issue. Marriage is a rights of conscience issue. Marriage is a size of government issue.
Doug and ADF have become the largest public interest law firm in the world. ADF defends people like Dick and Betty Odegaard from Grimes, Iowa. Dick and Betty run a wedding service, and this last week a homosexual couple has threatened to sue them, and ADF and our ministry are helping them because we and Dick and Betty don't believe that the government has the right to force them as private citizens to actively participate in a homosexual quote-unquote wedding.
The scientific religion today is called humanism, secular humanism, ethical humanism, evolutionary humanism, secularism, or in Dennis Prager's word, leftism. The whole social structure is now tumbling down. We're dethroning God. We're undermining all its certainties. And all of this, wonderfully enough, is being done in the name of health, wealth, and the happiness of all mankind.
We've got all these media people down here today. A lot of them from all over the country. We have a lot of politicians here today from all over the country. So if you had a chance to tell them, hey, here's what you're missing is happening in the country, what would you tell them?
I think Americans are tired of having to put up with people that we pay the salaries of, who do not tell us the truth, who are not concerned about ruling with integrity, who do not seek to serve as their first perfect duty of public service. And they have had enough.
We saw in the video with Hillary Clinton. She said, what was her campaign in 2008? Who do you want to be answering the phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, certainly not her after we saw what she did with Benghazi.
I don't need much from government. Yet most of the other side need a subsidy. They need special tax preferences. They want rights that don't exist under any moment in human history.
We can't compartmentalize our life and say, well, this is culture, this is religion, this is politics. I'm not going to have anything to do with this last part. When we stand up and devote ourselves to the truth, we can change history.
Truth is truth. At the Family Leader, we say God designed it, nature reveals it, and science will always back it up.
You did that in the judicial retention election. You stood up and you changed the course of history in Iowa.
If you think back, 1963, prayer and Bible reading were taken out of schools, and the church remained silent. As a result, teen pregnancy skyrocketed, promiscuity skyrocketed, vandalism skyrocketed, dropout rates in high school skyrocketed. 1973, Roe v. Wade was passed. The church remained silent. And more than 55 million babies have been massacred through abortion. How long are we going to remain silent? It is high time that pastors stop hiding behind the pulpit. That pastors stop hiding behind the 501c3.
Wow, we could end right there, couldn't we?
Now, y'all had the opportunity earlier this afternoon to get to know my father. And as you saw, my dad is very soft-spoken. There is a divide of Washington versus the people. And we have been seeing over and over again the people rising up and saying, look, career politicians in both parties have let us down. We need to get back to the Constitution and the principles that made this country strong. And Vice President Joe Biden, you know, the nice thing is you don't even need a punchline. The untold truth about the Obama economy is the people who have been hurt the most are the most vulnerable among us. Young people, Hispanics, African Americans, single moms. Because when you pound small businesses with $1.7 trillion in new taxes, with mountains of regulation, it's not the CEOs who lose their job. If you were flying in a private jet 5 years ago, you're still flying in a private jet. It's the people just starting to climb the economic ladder, seeking the American dream. And I think as conservatives, we are and should be the party that champions the little guy, the person working to achieve the American dream.
For those of you who are not familiar with our organization, we were founded in 1979. Beverly LaHaye was sitting in her living room listening to some feminist on TV when she said, "They don't speak for me, nor will they." And she went to her kitchen table with her sister and some friends and started the organization, and now we meet at kitchen tables all over the country. We are the women's group that likes men.
We must have the Esthers of this generation step forward with me. Will you join me? Will you be the Esthers of this generation? Will you lead and will you save our nation?
We have a saying that when you're trying to get a bill passed, the first goal is to change a legislator's mind. Give them good information, great examples, credible sources, and hopefully change their mind, change their way of thinking on that issue. But if you can't change their mind, then you need to at least change their vote. And that means mobilizing people around the state to raise their voices and raise the political heat on them so that they choose the right way.
Heritage Action is leading the battle in the fight to promote conservative policy on Capitol Hill. What happens to them? They get elected as conservatives, and then they get in office and forget who we are and why we sent them to Congress. This is why it's imperative, if we can't make them see the light, we make them feel the heat.
First, I want to thank Bob Vanderplatz and his dedicated staff for putting on this very important and now annual summit where conservatives, that's right, I'm excited to already be here next year. Bob's earlier comments about the gift of life's impact on Governor Perry, Governor Perry's pro-life policies, are a prime example of what our films can do. They have impact. They can change the hearts and minds for the better.
As David Bozzi just said, this is going to be an annual thing. We're going to be right back here again in 2014, 2015, and 2016 as well, because we're going to stay in the fight.
And there are a lot of things that people don't know about me. Maybe we should start by putting up that confirmation picture. Come on. That's my real hair, and that's my real hair, by the way. I've always loved Iowa because the people of Iowa are hard-working people, something that we have to see a little bit more of in this country when you look at what's going on in the United States. The Republican Party is in serious trouble because we have elections coming up. We have to win. We have to defeat Obamacare. We have to defeat it. We have problems like we have not had before. And we have jobs that are just disappearing. And having a country starts with security at your borders. So you just cannot continue. Our country is in trouble, but our country has tremendous potential with the right leadership. And by the way, I am pro-life. Traditional marriage. And Second Amendment, 100%. I mean, let's face it. I had to throw that in, but.
In 2 Chronicles 7:14, when you read it in the scriptures, it starts out with that word, if. And if what it means, it indicates a decision, you need to make it. It's a decision. If. It's a tipping point for us. My people who are called by my name. Ladies and gentlemen, this is us. This is God's team. This isn't the opponents we're looking at right now. This isn't the opposition. This isn't the left. This is us. Matter of fact, after this event is done, this event's going to get done before 7 o'clock. So we always operate on time. But Dave and Cheryl are willing to give some of their time for some of you who'd like to join them at 7:14 tonight, up here in front, to begin that revival prayer. Because I believe when we as Christians who bear God's name will answer that word if and have harmony and unity at 7:14 in the morning, 7:14 in the evening, I think we'll start seeing revival stories happen.
I want to challenge you to make a commitment together with me that we can say, I pledge my life, I pledge my fortune, I pledge my sacred honor to do everything I humanly can to restore this country to that shining city on a hill. If every one of us makes that commitment, we will take this country back. The book of Proverbs says in Proverbs 29:2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, people mourn. But it also says in Psalms 30 verse 5, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. If we all pull together, we will take this country back. God bless all. God bless America.
So it is our vision that you will leave inspired and equipped to lead, and to lead in this culture with principle over politics.